For this assignment, I'm referencing the class notes. So the first question is to explain what would happen if there was a mutation on the exon 1 of an LDLR. So if we go back to the map that we had, it looks something like this. Well, 3', where exon 1 was over here, and it was labeled the signal sequence. Recall back in class we said that the signal sequence was important because it directs the protein to its final destination. This final destination, depending on the protein, could be the mitochondria, the ER, or even the nucleus. In this case, we're dealing with a transmembrane protein, so it will be directed to the ER. In this case, if there's a mutation here and the signal sequence doesn't work, instead of going to the ER, it's going to permanently stay in the cytosol, and likely the proteins will continue to accumulate in the cytosol. So this would present a problem for this whole process, because if you're staying permanently in the cytosol, you aren't going through the expected journey of going from the ER, or you're going from the cytosol to the ER, to the Golgi, to the transport vesicles, to the membrane. In this case, we would expect, if the signal sequence was working at the end, that the proteins would be embedded in the membrane and then act as receptors for the LDR. But there won't be at the end this whole process where they end up embedded in the membrane, and so the cell will struggle because if it needs cholesterol for the membrane itself, then it won't have enough receptors to bring in cholesterol, or to bring in the LDL, which will in the end have cholesterol that's going to be released by enzymes on the inside. So in turn, what I should also add is, if cholesterol isn't really, or the LDL, which brings cholesterol through the blood and stuff, isn't being brought inside the cell, that can mean in turn that there's more cholesterol in the blood stream of the person, and that could present problems because you don't want a high level of cholesterol, because you could be at risk for other things like strokes, or it's just the movement of blood is going to be blocked by the high cholesterol. In the second scenario, the mutation occurs on exon 3. If we look back at the map, exon 3 constituted the ligand binding domain, which were exons 2 to 6. Normally, when an LDL binds to an LDL binding domain, it ensures that receptor-mediated endocytosis can occur. Receptor-mediated endocytosis is the process that, using the receptors that were created before, will actually bring in the LDL that's outside in the blood, and then at the end of this whole process, the cholesterol will be released in the cytosol so that it can be used for whatever the cell needs it for. So if the ligand binding domain is mutated and this can't occur, then if the cell needs cholesterol, it's going to struggle, because it can't bring the cholesterol inside. It's going to have a low level of cholesterol, which in turn for the person can present problems, because if you aren't bringing any cholesterol inside, you're going to have more cholesterol on the outside. And if you have high levels of cholesterol, you can have other health issues, like you can have a stroke, you're going to have heart problems, or any other issue that can happen.